It hurts. Every single time. The pain, it's unbearable. My body tenses before he even touches me, as if it already knows what's coming. I bite my lip, hold back the tears, pretending it's fine. But it's not. It never is. I see the concern in his eyes, the guilt, the frustration. He wants to stop, but I don't want to disappoint him. So I endure until I can't anymore. Lagos was a city where success was power. Those who had it lived like kings. Jason Okoye was one of them. His name opened doors, his wealth built towers, and his presence commanded respect. People spoke of him with admiration. Some envied him. Others wanted to be him. But Lagos was also a city of illusions. A man could appear to have everything, yet be empty inside. Jason knew this well. Behind his wealth and success, there was a truth no one dared to speak of. Jason was the kind of man women dreamed of. Wealthy, intelligent, confident, he had it all. At every event, eyes followed him, whispers of admiration trailing in his wake. Women competed for his attention, each hoping to be the one who tamed Lagos's most eligible bachelor. His charm was effortless, his success undeniable. But they did not know what lay beneath. They saw the perfect man, but they did not see the burden he carried. Only he knew how quickly admiration turned to fear. Jason's secret was not one he could confess. It was one that women discovered on their own. At first, they were eager, drawn to him like moths to a flame. But the moment of truth always came. Shock, discomfort, hesitation, then the inevitable goodbye. I don't think this will work, Jason. You deserve someone who can handle this. I'm sorry, I can't. He stopped listening. It was always the same. They did not leave because of his wealth, his mind, or his heart. They left because of what he carried. At first, the whispers were soft, uncertain. But in Lagos, secrets never stayed quiet. Jason Okoye is not the man you think he is. He is too much for any woman to handle. He can't keep a woman. What once made him desirable now made him infamous. The same men who once envied him now laughed behind his back. The same women who once sought him now kept their distance. His name still carried weight, but for the wrong reasons. Jason poured himself into work, drowning out the noise with success. If love had rejected him, he would make power his companion. Meetings, deals, contracts. His life became a carefully structured empire. He built something greater than love, something untouchable. Yet, in the silence of his penthouse, he was alone. He read messages from women who once adored him. Their words were sweet, but their actions were always the same. They all left in the end. Madame Okoye had seen her son's rise, but she had also seen his loneliness. "Jason," she said one evening, watching him across the dinner table. "A man without a family is a tree with no roots." Jason smiled, but it was hollow. "I am fine, Mama." "No, you are not," she said firmly. "You have everything but love." Jason let out a small laugh. "Love is not for men like me." His mother sighed. "Then you have allowed the world to lie to you." She left him with those words, but Jason had no answer. Lagos never rested. The city moved fast, filled with people chasing dreams, power, and love. Jason had chased two. The third had slipped through his fingers. He stood at the top, a king in his own world. But what good was a kingdom if there was no one to share it with? The city lights shone brightly, but his world remained in shadows. The whispers continued, the rumors spread, and the world moved forward. Jason stood still, trapped in a fate no one could see. The man who had it all, except the one thing that truly mattered. Amira Hassan entered Jason's life with purpose, not admiration. She had built her reputation in a field where men doubted her, yet she never sought validation. When they met, Jason expected the usual, a woman impressed by his wealth, eager for his attention. Instead, Amira barely acknowledged his status. "Mr. Okoye, I don't chase money. I create it," she said, scanning the plans for his penthouse redesign. Jason smirked. "Most people try to impress me." "Then most people must be boring," she replied without hesitation. She was different, a woman of her own making. And Jason noticed. Jason was used to control. He spoke, people listened. He wanted, people obeyed. But Amira did not play by those rules. "Your design ideas are safe," she told him during their first meeting. "You want modern and bold, but you hesitate. Why?" Jason folded his arms. "I pay for what I want." She met his gaze, unshaken. "Then decide if you want greatness or just another expensive room." Jason expected submission. Instead, he got defiance. Battle of wills began, and for the first time in years, Jason found himself on the losing side, yet he didn't mind. Meetings stretched longer than planned. Talks of marble and lighting turned into discussions about life. "Success isn't about money," Amira said one evening. "It's about survival, about proving you belong." Jason listened, not because he had to, but because she spoke with purpose. "You really don't care who I am, do you?" he asked. Amira shrugged. "I know who you are, Jason, but that's not what interests me." It was new, refreshing. She saw beyond his reputation, beyond the whispers. Jason had always been in control, but with Amira, he wasn't sure who held the upper hand. Hope was dangerous. Jason had learned that lesson before. He had felt attraction, connection, only to watch it all fall apart. Amira was different, but he knew how this would end. She would find out. She would leave. He tried to step back to keep things professional, but Amira wasn't blind. "You act like you have everything, Jason," she said. "But I see a man who is scared." Jason tensed. "I have nothing to be afraid of." "Then why are you running?" Her words struck deeper than he wanted to admit. Amira was not just another woman. She was breaking through the walls he had spent years building, and that terrified him. Jason had kept his secret buried for so long. But with Amira, the words escaped before he could stop them. One night, when the weight became too much, he told her everything. The burden, the curse, the women who had walked away. When he finished, silence filled the space between them. He waited for the reaction, the laughter, the disgust, the pity. But Amira did none of those things. She simply sat there, watching him carefully. Jason frowned. "That's all you have to say?" She leaned back. "What else is there to say? You think this defines you, but it doesn't. You are the one making it a curse." For the first time in years, Jason felt uncertain. Amira had heard Jason's truth. But unlike the others, she did not flinch. She did not pity him. She did not run. "You're not the first man to face this," she said simply. "And you won't be the last." Jason blinked. "That's your answer?" "What did you expect?" she asked. "Fear? Judgment? I don't give up that easily." No woman had ever spoken to him like this. No woman had ever stayed. For the first time in years, he felt something shift inside him, a flicker of hope. Jason sat in silence, his mind drowning in doubt. He had been here before. Hope had betrayed him before. He knew how this would end. Amira's voice was steady. "You are not cursed, Jason." He let out a bitter laugh. "You don't understand. This is not something I can change." Her eyes softened, but her voice held firm. "Then let me carry this burden with you." Jason shook his head. "You say that now, but when it fails, if you trust me, we will face this together," she interrupted. Her words were a challenge, a promise. Jason wanted to believe her, but belief had never been enough. and he feared the day she would prove him right. Jason forced himself to hope. Amira's touch was careful, her patience unwavering. But his body did not listen. The moment came, and like before, it fell apart. Pain replaced passion. Frustration replaced connection. Jason pulled away, his voice hollow. "I told you this would happen." Amira reached for him, but he moved further back. "You don't have to do this, Amira." She stepped closer. "Jason, this doesn't mean—" "It means everything," he snapped. "It means nothing has changed." He had seen this before. Women who promised to stay but never did, and he knew. Soon she would leave too. Amira stood still, unmoving. Jason turned away. "You should go. I won't blame you." Her voice was calm, steady. "I am not leaving." Jason let out a dry laugh. "You say that now." She crossed her arms. "I say that because I mean it." Jason's breath caught. "Why?" "Because this is not the end of us, Jason," she said simply. He searched her face, waiting for hesitation, waiting for fear. He found none. For the first time in his life, a woman had a choice, and she chose to stay. Amira would not accept defeat. She researched. She asked questions. She sought answers Jason had never dared to look for. "You really think doctors can fix this?" Jason asked one night. Amira didn't look up from the journal she was reading. "I think solutions exist, if you are willing to try," Jason scoffed. "I've tried before." "Not with me," she countered. She spent sleepless nights searching, pushing through pages of medical studies, contacting specialists, finding ways Jason never considered. At first, he resisted. Then he watched. No one had ever fought for him like this. And slowly, something changed. Perhaps love was not about being perfect. Perhaps it was about persistence. Jason had always believed his battle was in his body. But Amira made him see the truth. It was in his mind. "You are not broken," she told him one day. "You've believed a lie for too long." Years of rejection had built walls inside him, and Amira was breaking them down. Therapy forced him to confront his fears, to face the past that had shaped him. "Why would you go through all this for me?" he asked one evening. "Because I see what you don't," she said. "And I won't let you destroy yourself over a fear that is not real." For the first time, Jason wondered, had it been his body that failed him, or had he been the one holding himself back? Jason embraced the journey Amira had set for him. At first, it was difficult. Change never came easily. But as time passed, he learned to let go of shame. Therapy became a place of healing. He stopped seeing himself through the eyes of those who had left him. The mirror no longer reflected a man burdened by failure. It showed a man ready to begin again. One evening, Jason met Amira's gaze and whispered, "Love did not fail me, fear did." She smiled, then stopped running from it. Jason stepped forward, no longer bound by what was, and beside him stood Amira, the woman who refused to walk away. Time had passed, but Jason and Amira remained unshaken. Their love had endured doubt, failure, and the weight of expectations. Jason no longer feared what came next. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady. Amira nodded. "Then let's do this together." There was no hesitation, no doubt, only trust. This time the past had no power. Only the future mattered. Jason took a deep breath, stepping into the unknown, knowing he was not alone. Together, they would rewrite their story. The struggle that once defined Jason vanished in the presence of love. What was impossible before now unfolded with ease. Jason closed his eyes, feeling something new, wholeness. Amira smiled, her belief in him unwavering. "It was never about what you couldn't do," she whispered. "It was about what you believed." Jason understood. Love had never been about the body. It had always been about the soul. The past no longer had a hold on him. Madame Okoye watched her son in disbelief. She had seen his pain, heard the whispers that followed him. But today, she saw something different. A man reborn. Tears filled her eyes as she embraced Amira. "You gave him back to us," she whispered. "You saw his worth when the world did not." Jason turned to his mother, holding her hands. "I see it now too." Her smile trembled. Love is not about being perfect, but about standing beside the one who sees your worth. For the first time, Jason truly understood her words. The same people who once whispered now watched in awe. Jason Okoye, the man they laughed at, was now a symbol of strength. The story of his love spread through Lagos, turning gossip into admiration. Women who once ran from him now spoke of Amira's courage. Men who mocked him now nodded in respect. Jason walked through the streets, no longer weighed down by shame. The past had lost its power. He was free. Jason and Amira's story became more than just their own. People began to listen, to learn. Love is not about what the body can or cannot do, Jason told them. It is about choosing to stay when it's easier to leave. Men who once laughed at him now looked at their own fears. Women who pitied him now honored Amira's strength. Their love had become a lesson, one that could not be ignored. Jason and Amira stood side by side, not as the broken man and the woman who saved him, but as two souls who fought fate and won. Their love was not bound by limitations, but defined by endurance. Jason turned to Amira, taking her hand. "The past doesn't own me anymore," she smiled. "Then let's move forward." As the world watched, they stepped into the next chapter. Love had broken his chains, and he would never be bound again. See you in the next video. Subscribe now for gripping stories that keep you on the edge of your seat. Like and share to keep African storytelling alive. Turn on notifications. Don't miss a single tale.